Leviticus chapter 26, verse 1. You shall not make for yourself idols. Now see the way in which Moses writes this. You shall not, it's a commandment, which means that you should not. It is a commandment of the Lord. What is the commandment of the Lord? You shall not make idols. It means should not possess idols, should not buy idols, should not make idols. It is very clear from these words that one should not, a child of God, a believer, should not have idols, should not make idols. Many would say that this is an Old Testament commandment. The New Testament, there is no commandment like this. No, it is false. In the New Testament also, the apostles instruct the same thing. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 14 says, Therefore, my beloved, flee from idolatry. Therefore, my beloved, flee from idolatry. We are not supposed to entrap ourselves in idolatry. Idolatry is a system of religion where idols are used for the purpose of worship. And Paul here is saying to the church in Corinth, run away from any system, any church or any system that uses idols for worship. In 1 John chapter 5, verses 21, here Apostle John also tells the believers, little children, guard yourself from idols. Idols are dangerous. Guard yourself from idols. In the Septuagint of the same verse, Leviticus chapter 26, verse 1, it says, do not make gods for yourself. Do not make gods for yourself. What are idols? Idols are physical representation of a deity, a god. In short, the secular definition as well as the biblical definition of an idol is the same. It is a physical representation of a deity. We are not supposed to represent deity or God by means of an idol. That is what Leviticus 26:1 says. Now, what is an idol? We can get some information from Psalms 115. Psalms 115, verses 4 through 7. Their idols are silver and gold, the work of man's hand. They have mouth, but they cannot speak. They have eyes, but they cannot see. They have ears, but they cannot hear. They have nose, but they cannot smell. They have hands, but they cannot feel. They have feet, but they cannot walk. They cannot make a sound with their throat. The Bible is very clear. Any physical representation of a deity which has these characteristics, they have everything. They represent the likeness of man. They have the organs of man. They have the senses of man, but they are not able to communicate. And when you put that before you, and when you call it as a means to worship deity, God, it is an idol. Moses in Leviticus chapter 26, verse 1, tells the children of Israel, you shall not make idols. Now, well, some would say, I don't have idols in my home. True. Many do not have idols in their house. Representing Jesus is generally through pictures. Now see what the continuation of that verse says. Leviticus 26 verse 1. Nor shall you set up for yourself an image or a sacred pillar. An image. You have a picture of God that you worship. You have a painting of God that you use for the purpose of worship or for prayer, for adoration or veneration. God tells the children of Israel, no. It is a system that is used in idolatry. If there are no physical idols, then people resort to pictures and photos or paintings. And Moses here is telling the children of Israel, the believers, and he's also speaking to the New Testament Christians, God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He is not going to change. He has not changed. In the Old Testament, you see that the Jews never represent Yahweh by means of an idol. They never represent Yahweh by means of an idol. We should also not represent Yahweh, God, by means of an idol, or Lord Jesus Christ by means of an idol, or by an image. You shall not set up for yourself an image, or a sacred pillar, sacred objects Now, sacred pillars are not used for worship as such. Sacred pillars are used for the purpose of remembrance. They are sacred to that religion. They are sacred to that idol. They are sacred to that institution. For example, Islam is not an idolatrous religion, which means that they do not worship idols. But on the other hand, they have sacred images. For example, those half-crescent moon that you see on top of many mosques, they are sacred image that belongs to that system. Likewise, even in Christianity, in Catholicism, as well as in Eastern Orthodox, probably in other Protestant denominations also, you see that there is an aspect of sacred imagery or sacred substances or objects. They indirectly point to God. They are not used for worship, but they represent a system or they represent God. A typical example is a cross. Cross is a sacred object. It is a cultic image. Just like in Hinduism and other idolatrous religion, they use cultic images to represent the religious aspects. They are not using that for worship, directly for worship. They may use an idol for worship. But these cultic images, sacred objects, are not used for worship. Sacred objects are used in such a way to please God, or the philosophy behind sacred objects is that either they protect the person having it, either they are a point of veneration or adoration towards God. It is as if having that in your home or in your presence is pleasing to the Lord. Moses, speaking to the children of Israel, is telling them, no, don't have any sacred pillars. Don't have any sacred pillars. Nor place the figured stone. To bow down. How many are bowing down to the cross, the image of the cross? How many are bowing down or even with hands clasped, standing before the image of Jesus and praying? None of these things are biblical. They fall under the category of idolatry. Paul, reminding the children, the believers in Corinth, tells them, dear children, my beloved, flee from idolatry. All these things, idols, images, sacred objects, as a way to please God, as a way to worship God, as a way to adore God, as a way to venerate God, Jesus Christ. In Christianity, it's the picture of Jesus Christ that is being used, or it is a cross that is being used as a means to attach a person to Jesus. The Bible is very clear. The authority of the Word of God is very clear. Do not